we're sitting here with, less than a week to go in training camp, like in your mind, how close to final is this roster, or how many big decisions do you still have in your head?
We have a lot of big decisions. Goaltending, the defense, and up front. And that's a good problem to have. I've said that before. There's been years prior where I remember where we were like, I guess he's ready. But now we're like, we have actually some guys that have pushed really hard for jobs, and they've made it for some interesting conversations in the coach's office. So I'm quite happy that we've had so many guys that have really pushed to try to make this team.
Is that part of it, like, do you dread having to make the tough decisions? Is it, do you look at it as the best kind of scenario? How do you treat the next week?
I don't dread it. It's tough to have to give news to someone that's very, very close. But at the same time, I want whoever isn't on our roster to start with to know that they are very, very close, and that we're excited about the future of the people that really came in and pushed for us. So it can be a tougher day for the individual for sure, but at the same time, what I feel like with the direction that we're going, the people that we have coming, that's exciting for me.
I asked you about Andrei Kuzmenko in 3-on-3 situations yesterday, but how in general has his camp gone in your eyes?
Kuzi's been good. I mean, we missed him for a few days there. Had a couple maintenance days, but he's been good. It's the skill set that he has that separates him from everybody else. Like, we don't have a player like him, and that's quite obvious with how he can control the puck in traffic and make plays under pressure. The overtime goal was a great example of that last night. I wanted him to shoot on the bench, and I think probably everybody in the building did, but he sees the game really well on the offensive side of things. So I think he's been good.
Sort of, I guess the narrative on him has been that he needs to improve on the defensive end. Have there been steps taken there?
They haven't played a ton in their own zone in the games he's played. So I don't know. I think everybody looks for a reason at times to maybe why they don't like a player or why they don't think a player is that good. Well, yeah, he's offensive, but he doesn't commit to the defensive side of the game. Well, everybody plays it different, and that's why teams are made up of different people. If you had everybody that was the same, it wouldn't work. So you have to find people like Kuzi, and as I said, he's tried to get better on the defensive side of the game. He thinks about his details a lot. He asks questions a lot, but his special area or his area of expertise is what he does with the puck.
At this point in camp, like, is it too late, for lack of a better word, for a player to change your mind? Like some of the players that are on the bubble, like at what point is it a little bit, we're 6 out of 8 games, like, can players still change your mind?
Oh, sure. And it's, as we mentioned last night, it's not just now. Let's say someone starts in the minors, but the first few games you're not happy with someone. It's really easy to say, hey, let's make a change here, because this player we know has been playing well and we'd like to get him up here. Maybe that's the difference for us. So it's ongoing. So I really want the guys to continue to push the last 2 games, even if they are a so-called bubble guy. Any way you look at it, whether it's your last game that you're going to get to play, you want to leave a really good impression, and you want to make sure that if you aren't on the roster opening day, that you're the first guy that's going to be recalled should something happen.
I apologize if this is a totally asinine question, but does it go through your head with some of these young guys that, like, hey, there's pressure on you. People are talking about you. Maybe a little time in the AHL would just be good for you to, take some time and find your game at the pro.
I think there's a lot to having guys in the AHL grow and learn how to play a professional game. I mean, we've seen guys recently go through the American League and come back and be really successful players for us. I think it's a great step for a young guy. I really do. Having said that, if a guy's come in and he shows that he can play and is ready now, then that's something we're going to look at.
On the back end, it does look like you've maybe got more veteran competition with Barry, Pahal, Hanley. Like, how do you balance those skill sets, or how do you view that sort of bottom pairing? We have a lot of guys on the back end, and again, it's a good problem to have because everybody wants that depth, and I feel like we do have that right now. Create some good competition. So a lot of it is. Like Uyghur and Miro have typically played together the whole camp. We feel like they have they're a good pairing, so we want to keep them that way. So then it's just a matter of finding out who are the other guys that seem to have a connection like they do. So that's a little bit of still something that we're looking at. Like, we'd like to see Ball with Anderson. We haven't been able to do that because of Ball's injury to start camp, but hopefully we get a chance to see that on Friday.
What goes into try and bury on his offside and evaluating there?
Based on the number of guys we have on the back end, you look at the people that we have on the right side, there's some good competition there. We like what Pahal does because he's a physical presence there. Everybody brings something that's a little different. So when you're trying to put your lineup together, Tyson's got a very special skill set like Kuzi does in a way where he's elite on the power play. So is there a way where you can incorporate him into the group? So trying him on the left side is a way where we get a chance to look to see if that's a way we can potentially do it.
Speaking of Pahal, it seems like he's playing with a bit more confidence this preseason so far. He's put up some points, scored a goal again last night. Are you noticing anything different in his game so far in camp than last season?
Maybe he's a little quicker. I think he's continued to be physical for us for sure. I think maybe he's taken that up another step. But for me, Pahal is all about, he's always having to prove himself. You know, remember Derek Englund way back when here, like, he got a chance later on in his career. Braden went waiver pickup, all that stuff, had to prove his way all the way along. He's one of those guys that just has to come to the rink every day fighting for that opportunity, and that's his mindset, and I think it always will be.
Coach Blake Coleman scores on a tip on Saturday. He goes to the net and scores from inside the blue paint last night. You know, are those kind of things, driving the net, going to the dirty areas, is that something that other guys notice, and how important is it for a guy like Coleman to kind of set that standard this early?
I hope so. I hope they notice. He had 30 goals last year, and a lot of them were right from that area. So I do hope guys recognize that. Blake's a gamer. That's what you love about him. When the game's on the line, he'll come to play. That's who he is. Like we use him to play against top lines a lot of times. Good penalty killer for us. Last year he raised his offensive side, and it's not because of just an incredible skill set that he has. It's just a will to do the hard things for his line, and as a result, him being around the net a lot, he's able to put a lot of pucks in there. So hopefully he can match his year last year, if not better it.
Right. You know how everyone reacts to preseason stats, whether it's wins or scoring stats. You know, it's always, okay, show me later, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What does matter for you at this time of year? Like when you look at the preseason body of work, what matters to you?
I want to see the pace of the game, that we're increasing it every time we're playing. I want to see the compete. So when we're in battles, like how are guys competing? Are they hungrier for the puck? And then it's, for me, about are they playing the right way without the puck a lot of times. So is our checking game where it needs to be? Because there's too many good players around the league that if you're loose with your details or habits, then they're going to pick you apart. So we have to make sure that part of our game is ready to go for game one. I mean, look at the team we're playing. They have a lot of offensive weapons, and if we're not tight with our details, then we're going to be in trouble.
You mentioned this earlier in the training camp in regards to Tyson Barrie, a guy who's getting an opportunity here, maybe hungry because the market didn't necessarily feel that he was worth X amount of dollars. You've seen what he's done throughout the weeks, mentoring some of the young kids. You mentioned his special, power play expertise, as well as what he's been able to do on his opposite wing. What can you say about Tyson Barrie and what he's been able to do throughout the couple weeks here?
Yeah, I think because of who he is and what he does and how he plays the game and an experience, I mean, he's ran a lot of different power plays in some pretty good organizations that have had power plays that have been in the top of the league. And when you have so many younger defensemen that our organization does now, they look to a guy like that to see how Tyson does things. So I think he's come in the right way. That's the one thing that I'm most impressed with. Like, he's come in and he's worked every day. He's done whatever has been asked of him over the course of the summer, and he'd probably tell you the same thing. This is the hardest he's worked to make sure that he puts himself in a position to earn a contract. He's not taking anything for granted, and I like his approach, how it's been so far.